Okay, so you've made it to the portion of the hormone macrocode system, or what we call the lifestyle plan. Specifically, we're going to design our lifestyle plan around our hormone profile diagnostic. So in this module, we're going to talk about how to interpret your personal hormone profile diagnostic, like your results, the top 5 imbalances and why they're important and why we focus on them, and then how to follow the hormone protocol recipe sheet, which will help you design your actual lifestyle plan for the next 90 days. We know that disclaimer is really important. The recommendations made about products, anything else has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and they're not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any condition and or disease. Before you begin any nutrition or fitness program, it's always advised to consult with your healthcare provider. Good thing that we actually have a healthcare provider that is partnered with us with the hormone macro system. Now, with the hormone macro code system, step one, laying the foundation you should have been already through. Now, you might be an individual that you like to go and watch everything and then you start from the beginning. And then some people might get overwhelmed doing that. Doesn't matter. I don't care how fast or slow you go, that you just go, that you take consistent steps forward to get your results. So you went through laying the foundation. That is step one, identifying your goals, doing your measurements, doing all the basics to clean up your environment so you can have real success this time. Step 2A, which is we start the hormone reset cleanse. You follow this for at least 14 days, omitting certain top allergen foods. You had specific cleanse macros. And then step 2B is the reintroduction. The reintroduction is reintroducing slowly each food to identify which food you might be intolerant to so you can make a decision. Do you want to feel this way sometimes or not at all? And at the same time, you're shifting your cleanse macros by doing the carb tolerance profile, because when you do the carb tolerance profile, that helps you identify your type, and I got air quotes going on right now, and that's part of step 3 is your hormone macro code type, identifying your carb tolerance, or I should say intolerance, and what your formula macros, grams, protein, fat, and carbs should be moving forward for a period of time to improve your carb tolerance. So if you're type 3, 4, and or menopause, you're going to follow your type for 4, 8, or 12 weeks. It's up to 12 weeks when it comes to really shifting how your body responds as far as insulin, and that's through having the right foods, that's through strength training, that's through strategic fasting and having specific supplementation and even or peptides. I put 4, 8, and 12 because you can choose. You can wait 12 weeks to do the carb tolerance profile, or you can do it every 4 weeks. Now, if you're a type 1 or 2, when it comes to the carb tolerance profile, then you just move forward. What is it in Monopoly? Do not pass go, go directly to jail. Well, I'm not telling you go to jail. What you're going to do is you're going to go directly to the Princess Warrior program, because that means that your body's very responsive and the macros are different. See, one of the things I said to you right in the very beginning, whether you were in one of our master classes or a web class, I always tell you that where you start is not where you stay, and you're always measuring, monitoring, adjusting. If you're doing following things consistently, that means your metabolism is constantly improving, and that's why you don't stay where you are, and that's where your numbers shift, and that's where macros are fabulous, because there's always somewhere to go depending on the results that you're looking to achieve and how you're looking to feel. Moving us into step 4 is designing the hormone profile diagnostic, right? Designing your lifestyle plan. I got the air quotes again. This is following specific hormonal or hormone imbalance protocols, our recipes in order to get things in check so you can feel your best, live your best, have that optimal, level quality of life. So everything that we do, it's a system. And I always say there's method to the madness. So that's what we're focusing on right now is step 4. So with the hormone profile diagnostic, let's talk a little bit about, excuse me, interpreting your scores. So when you first started laying the foundation, you have different tools, right? It's because you got food lists, and then you got your progress tracker, and then you have things to answer as far as your best body assessment. And one of the things that you're able to do is, or that we kind of recommend, is doing your hormone profile diagnostic right away. You do it in the beginning of like your cleanse, and then a couple weeks later you can do it again. Is it, do you have to? We recommend it. So you can just simply see by reducing inflammation how much your symptoms can actually improve, because it's based on the food and the irritation that your body's dealing with. It's anytime you're taking in things that your body doesn't tolerate well, it creates irritation. Where there is irritation, there's inflammation. And that's the number one thing that starts, stirring the pot when it comes to all the health issues that we might be dealing with, and even hormonal imbalances. So you have a paper form, but what you see on the screen right now is the Excel sheet. I love the Excel sheet. Why? Because you simply need to go to each tab. You can see on the bottom where it might say low progesterone, insulin, inflammation, low thyroid, excess testosterone, and fill in each symptom. And by the end, you see the last tab right here in yellow, it says answer key. It'll calculate everything for you and show you exactly where you are for each hormonal imbalance. We have 16 different hormonal imbalances, including inflammation. And that's what you're able to identify, like what your body is going through right now. This is not 100%. This is, lab work is going to be better than a piece of paper, but this is pretty spot on, and it just helps give you direction, not only what you need to do with your lifestyle, with your food, with your activity, with your supplementation, things that you should be adding in, things that you should be getting rid of, but it also helps you have a better educated or informed conversation with your health professional on what you are dealing with. So with these 16 different imbalances, we have protocols for each of the imbalances. But one of the things you're going to find is that we're focusing on the top 5, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. So when you're looking at your score sheet, because a lot of times people will do their answer key sheet, they'll see it, they do it on paper and they add it up, and or they do the Excel sheet and they're like, oh my gosh, I am just a hot mess. Well, yes and no. The good thing is, don't be discouraged. I always say, don't be discouraged, be encouraged, because now you have somewhere to go, right? Because it before you're just throwing spaghetti up against the wall and see what sticks, right? You're just shooting in the dark. So now we actually can be really specific. You'll hear me say a lot, nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes really specific. Instead of shooting in the dark or throwing things, spaghetti up against the wall and see what sticks, we're deliberate. So if you have more than one high score, start whichever appears lowest on the chart from the top. Why? Because you're going to work your way up to the highest imbalance. But often what we will find is that when we are addressing, like number 1, inflammation, other symptoms start to subside or even go away, because inflammation was the real issue, not necessarily, your thyroid. That's crazy, right? Sometimes people are thinking, oh, I have a thyroid issue, and it's really the inflammation that they're dealing with. Or even if they get their testosterone in check, their thyroid will start working better. But understanding that you're correcting a lower level imbalance can be enough. Just be patient with yourself. And again, always, you're going to hear me say a gazillion times, is follow things consistently. Don't think that you have to jump and try to do everything all at once. And here's a perfect example of just doing the basics. This is Michelle, and she says, after the cleanse, numbers improved so much. I'm in awe. So she went from where her inflammation was kind of really, really high to where in 14 days after the cleanse, dramatic improvement, which it was below the warning mark after 14 days. And that's just, she's just one person. We hear it all the time. And there's so many people said, I didn't know how bad I was feeling till I started feeling better. Now, what about the top 5? So when it comes to your answer key, you see it's broken down: inflammation, mood and hormones, stress and anti-stress hormones, sex hormones, metabolism, renewal, your renewal hormones, your strength hormones. But through the years, as you've heard me talk in the web classes or in our hormone macro code master class, we've narrowed it down to the top 5. Because when we started looking at all the women that we were working with, what was the common theme? What was the common thread? What was the common issue? And 9 out of 10 women, anytime when we do like in a group format, our hormone profile diagnostic, I'm like, what are your top 5? And it'll be inflammation, insulin, excess cortisol, low thyroid. And then of course the sex hormones of declining sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And when we focus on these top 5 with your hormones, I always say it's a delicate symphony, and they don't work in isolation. When one goes up, another will go down. When one is improved, another can be improved, right? It's like a positive domino effect or a negative domino effect. And inflammation, insulin, cortisol, thyroid, and your sex hormones, independent but interrelated, because they're connected and they influence. Inflammation, insulin, excess cortisol is going to influence how your thyroid actually works and whether it's stressed out or not, whether it's going to function properly or not. So the reason that we focus now specifically on the top 5, because we were able to streamline, doesn't mean that everything will come out perfectly. Everything is always perfect when you put it on paper and then you add the human element. And everyone's going through a lot of different things, whether you had kids or didn't have kids, whether you had a hysterectomy, no hysterectomy, partial hysterectomy, whether you through menopause, perimenopause, postmenopausal, on medication, no medication, injured, broke bones. I mean, just there's so many different factors on how you're going to respond to everything. So not everything is perfect, but it's pretty darn close. And again, it's about the small manageable changes in the right direction can yield significant results. So with the hormonal imbalances, if you look at the top 5, for example, inflammation is going to interfere with your gut. We know that it's going to break down how healthy your gut is. It's going to break down your gut biome. They say it's not a matter in America if you have leaky gut syndrome, it's how severe it is. Then we talk about a toxic liver, or I technically call it the gunked up liver. It's slowing down, it's sluggish, it's been beat up, and it is our filtration station. It is our number 1 fat burning organ. And then you have inflammation, that insulin, cortisol, estrogen. Insulin, cortisol, and estrogen can help support quality or well-functioning inflammation. Some people don't always understand that. Inflammation is not bad, right? We need inflammation. You get stung by a bee, you get, bit by a mosquito, then what happens is a red spot will happen. It becomes inflamed. If you are not allergic to that bee, it becomes inflamed because what happens is that your body, that's inflammation rushing to the source to protect you. But then when we have inflammation on a chronic level all the time where it's not going away, then that's an issue. And insulin, cortisol, and estrogen help with inflammation, or they can drive up inflammation when they're out of control. You look at your mood and food, excess insulin, excess or low estrogen. Those contribute to, whether we're burning fat, whether we're storing fat, whether we're hungry, satisfied, sleeping well, happy, stress and anti-stress, excess cortisol, excess or low estrogen, excess or low progesterone. I just wanted you to see, like when we break things down, even your sex hormones, excess or low estrogen, excess or low progesterone, excess or low testosterone. And when you're doing like your hormone profile diagnostic, like you might come up where it shows excess testosterone or excess estrogen and progesterone, and it's not necessarily, and you're going through or you're going through menopause, or maybe you've gone through menopause and you're not on any form of bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I'm bringing this up because you could have what we consider excess estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone because those 3 levels are off in compared to what they should be. So it could run high but it's not necessarily high. It's high because the other are low, because estrogen might be too low. So now it's making it look like your testosterone is too low, or your progesterone is super low. So it's making it look like your estrogen is super high. But you see, each area, the top 5 imbalances that we talk about, you find them in each one of the areas. Metabolism, excess or low sex hormones. Yeah, it's going to impact your metabolism. It's going to impact how your thyroid operates. Recovery and renewal hormones, low testosterone. People think about testosterone and libido. It's a recovery hormone. It is a strength hormone. It's a muscle building hormone along with your estrogen, but it really is a big recovery hormone that people don't normally think about. And then, of course, strength, low testosterone, and really what I need to put in here, not just for strength with testosterone, but even your estrogen, losing muscle, working out and not getting results. Low estrogen, estrogen helps with contraction of your muscle. So if you don't have that mind-muscle connection and estrogen is low, then you're going to work that much harder as far as your strength and even retaining and building muscle. So you see where the top 5 all interplay with all of these different areas. So now let's talk about the actual, recipes, the protocol recipe sheet and how to read it and what you can follow for the next 90 days. Because remember, we're focusing in for a year. So you did laying the foundation. Maybe that took you 30 days. Then you did the cleanse portion of it and the reintroduction. That might have took you 21 days. Now we're on the second half of like your first quarter. And we're really honing things in to where now you're following your carb tolerance. And now when I say we're honing in, we're going a little bit further of dialing in our food and our macros, dialing in fasting protocols, our exercise regimen, our supplementation, whether we need peptides or bioidentical hormone replacement, those type of things. And when you look at your sheet, we have it broken down the same as how the hormone health hierarchy might fall. This on the screen right here, what did you see? We have the top 5. So within your Excel sheet, we call it the recipe sheet, you'll see the tabs at the bottom: inflammation, insulin, cortisol, thyroid, excess estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, or low estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. Those are the tabs to follow. So for example, you can see inflammation on the board here or on the screen. And first is our macronutrients. What should we be following? Well, you did laying the foundation. I'm going to keep repeating this. Then what did you do? You did your hormone reset cleanse and you did your cleanse macros. Then once you go into reintroduction, you did your carb tolerance profiling. That told you what you're going to be following. Depending on your type. Are you type 4? Are you type 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, or 5? And then you follow your carb type, and then you're following either 4, 8, or 12 weeks. That's the food that you're going to be following. What specific foods are you going to be eating? You still keep pulling from the hormone list of, or the hormone lifestyle list of foods. I'll get it out, that we've given you. And then, of course, the foods that you omitted during the cleanse, if you're not intolerant to them, then you get to eat them. You get to eat pretty much whatever you want to eat, okay? It's like, how does the food make you feel? Is it quality? Always choose quality over, refined, highly processed, boxed, whatever types of foods. But you get to eat whatever you want. It's the ratios in which you want to consume them. The right amount of protein for you, the right amount of carbohydrates for you, and your carb type, the right amount of fat for you. Now, it's important that you are paying attention, and if you haven't done so already, or if you've forgotten, go back and review the modules where I talk about calories, I talk about macros, and I talk about refeeds. Because as you started out and you did the cleanse, it's low calorie and it's low carbohydrate, low caloric. So you're already at a caloric deficit. Then you're going into, let's say if you're type 4 or you're type 5, or type 3, 4, or 5 as far as your macros, and you're in a deficit. So now, if you follow that for 4 weeks, you've gone 6 weeks in a deficit and 6 weeks of low carbohydrate. It's important that at least once a week that you're doing the refeed days. That means that you're bringing your calories up to at least maintenance, that you're increasing the amount of carbohydrates that you're taking in, because you will stall, your metabolism will slow down, and it's harder on your thyroid, it's harder on your testosterone production if you don't do this. And our whole goal is to, number one, speed up your metabolism. Number two, to protect your muscle. Or number one, really protect your muscle. Number two, speed up your metabolism. Number three, increase the amount of calories you take in, because you're a lean, mean, fat burning machine. And if you are too low for too long, it won't happen. Your body will do what we call the metabolic adaptation. Go back to those modules and rewatch them if you haven't watched them already, or you did watch them, to make sure you understand that and you do the refeeds properly, because the refeed is really dependent on where you are as far as your calories and how much carbohydrates that you should be taking in. Now, going back to like the macronutrients, following your carb type. With your carb type, when you're looking at like the different formulas, just use the tools. Don't try to figure out the math yourself. We've broken down the math for you, but we have different ways of identifying which protein, or what type of, not what type of protein, but the amount of protein that would be right for you. And the only reason we have different formulas or different options when it comes to the amount of protein you take in, because one of the things that we found with women when they first come to us is that they're not consuming enough protein. They might be getting 50 or 65 grams of protein, and that's like the equivalent of like a dialysis patient. So the reason I share that with you, because if you take your weight and you're over 200 pounds, you take your weight times 0.82, which is a general formula, and you do your ideal weight, it might be a lot of protein in the beginning to you. And it can be overwhelming. So that's why even in the beginning, we show you with the cleanse phase of it, where you have a chart. And if you're a certain weight, you have a scale to follow, 100 to this much. And then it's 125 to this much, depending on your weight. So with all of that being said, it's important you understand, because the heavier that you are, the more fat that you're carrying, the bigger leeway that you have. But there's a caveat or a denote to that. The more mature you are, the older you are, it's more important to get in more protein and increasing your protein. So you have a little bit of leeway the heavier you are, but at the same time, you don't have that much leeway, because you need to protect your muscle, because as we start to mature and lose our hormones, we become catabolic, so we're breaking down muscle. The smaller you get, when I say smaller, I mean like as you start to drop body fat, because it's really not a weight thing, right? It's the amount of body fat that you have. When you start to drop that body fat, then you don't have a big leeway. It's critical to your health and your success to make sure that you're getting protein in. I used to do 0.82. Now I do, for every 1 pound of weight I do 1 gram of protein, and I actually do more. My days I run from anywhere. It can be as low as 124 grams of protein, and as high as 147 now. So the older you get, the higher your protein will actually get. And you're like, oh my gosh, how do you get all that in? Guys, it's really not that hard, because when you think about protein in general, for every 1 gram of protein, you have 4 calories. So if I did 100 grams of protein, that's only 400 calories out of my day. And if I'm eating 1,800 calories, well, you got it? Mathematically, it's really not a lot. And the more your body gets protein, and the protein that it needs, the energy, mental clarity, but the satiety shows up, and it's easier, literally easier to eat more protein, because your body starts looking for it. See, it's hard in the beginning because your body's been so malnourished and it's been so off when it comes to its numbers. And I keep going on protein, but this is not what this this module's about, but I just wanted to break that down for you so you can see food macronutrients, refeed note, and then it will have additional foods depending on, is it inflammation? Is it insulin you're dealing with? Whatever your imbalance might be. Then it's going to give you a fasting schedule. Then it's going to say for your workouts, you can start here, but now you have access to the Princess Warrior program. Really, you need to move into the Princess Warrior program no matter where you are, whether you're type 1 in the carb tolerance or menopausal. It doesn't matter. Strength training is king or it's queen, and that's what you need to be doing. But we put this suggestion in here is for everyone just to get them started if they haven't been doing anything at all. Then you can see habits and protocols. It's going to be different for everyone, whether it's inflammation or it's thyroid or it's cortisol. Then the next, you're going to see where we break down BHRT, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Then we have peptides. Then we have supplementation. And when I say supplementation, like specific to the imbalance. And then you have your base supplementation. When it comes to, if you have not, at this point, let's say you've gone through the steps, laying the foundation, you've done the cleanse, you've done the reintroduction, you're following your hormone macro carb type, and you're following those macros. Now you're really specializing, honing in as far as your lifestyle plan, and you have not booked your labs yet. You don't know where your blood work is as far as your testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, thyroid, A1C, your cholesterol. Did I say cholesterol? Your vitamin D. Then you need to book with our company that we've partnered with. And in another module, I talk about how to do everything, but you just go to Ginspire Health /consultation. You book your spot and you have a consult with them. From there, they'll help you order your labs. Then once you have your labs, you can have your consult with our board certified health professional and talk about a plan as far as bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which is whether it's right for you, whether you need it, where your numbers are at this given moment. You can also get peptides. Peptides, you do not have to have labs. And each imbalance, we recommend different peptides. 3 base peptides we always recommend. It's not for everyone, but BPC157, everyone should be doing. And then options are mitoshred and the retatrutide, depending on where you are. And when you look at each tab and specific imbalance, you'll see what we are recommending for that imbalance. Again, you don't have to have your labs done to get the peptides, but you do have to book a consult to get the peptides because they come from a compounding pharmacy. They are all compounding U.S. FDA approved formulations, all the legal part of it. It's not just something that you're just going to buy off a shelf. Now, supplementation. And in another module, I'm talking about, supplementation, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, and peptides, because you have specifics. You have specifics as far as addressing the hormonal imbalance, and then we have base supplementation. Base supplementation is what everyone should be doing, and then specific supplementation is based on the imbalance. Is it inflammation? Is it insulin? Is it cortisol? Is it thyroid? Is it excess estrogen? Because that's going to change. Here you can see where I have my arrows talking about the peptides, little notes. So again, it's following the hormone health hierarchy. When you look at the chart and you just keep scrolling down and you read it from left to right. From left to right of, okay, what are we addressing? What are the dosages? What is the frequency? What are, whether you do it fasted or with food, what are the specific notes, things that you need to know? Like, you only take this at night. You take this 30 minutes before. Don't take these 2 things together. Make sure you're doing your refeed. So you just want to make sure, take your time going through the chart, and whatever questions you have, of course, go ahead and you can post them in the group. And if you are part of our VIP, we have our VIP WhatsApp community, or you can send us an email. Priorities when it comes to supplements. Okay, so always think about the hormone health hierarchy. Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. Look at, I understand you might be on a budget, so pay attention. Food's going to be your first, line of defense. Ask yourself, what does my food supply look like? Are you eating organic? Are you eating grass-fed beef, organic poultry, wild caught fish, type of proteins, or organic dairy, or, you got to think about all of these things. Are you buying organic or at least the clean 15 when it comes to your produce? And then look at the packaged foods that you're buying, because people are like, oh, it's organic. Oh, it's gluten-free. Oh, it's dairy-free. But then it's full of bad oils. I have canola oil, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, grapeseed oil, safflower oils. All these oils are what we call mega trans fats. So they're even worse than just a regular trans fat. And then, packaged foods are going to have your genetically modified organisms, your top 5 GMO crops: soy, sugar, canola, cottonseed, corn. And they've all been engineered to withstand the application of glyphosate, which is Roundup. Thinking about these things and supplementation. Look at the quality of your food, spend your money on your food, and what's left over, then you go into supplementation. It's really that simple. When it comes to the protocols, don't be overwhelmed. To impact your progress, you don't have to have everything that we recommend. Consider your budget and your schedule. And going back to the budget, do food. And understand you don't have to wait to do everything either. Okay? You just want to always do the things that you know that you're going to consistently do. A lot of times people fail. You think about your New Year's resolution. Somebody's going to say, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start working out. I'm never going to eat anything fattening ever again. And we do all these things. And they start doing a bunch of things. And it's more than they can handle. So then they peter out. They get tired, right? They're motivated on Monday and peter out by Friday because they're trying to do all the latest drinks and supplements and all the things. It's just too much. Instead of, they're trying to add on all these habits until they're really making one thing a consistent quality habit. Now, some people can add everything in. And the reason that I'm saying that, when it comes to getting your hormones right, you don't have to wait. I do like individuals to do the cleanse first and then go get their labs. But at the same time, because of the process, you got to book your consult. Then you have your consult. Then they order your labs. Then you got to go get your labs. And then you have your consult with your health professional. And then they ship right to the door, but it might take 10 to 14 days for you to get it. So you don't have to wait. You could start the process now, but just make sure that you're not forgetting about your food, your fasting, your activity, and your rest when it comes to the supplementation, when it comes to BHRT, when it comes to peptides, right? And again, consider your budget and your schedule. Document and journal each week to evaluate. Remember, it takes 90 days of consistency before noticing anything. Timing will depend on each person. We can't determine how quickly your body will respond. All we can do is determine and dictate is, how we think and the actions that we take. But it takes 90 days of consistency, whether it's good or bad, to have a physiological response. And then that's 90 days. And then, you have your second 90 days of consistency. Becomes a permanent physiological response. And then you have 9 months. It becomes where brain patterns start to change. And at 1 year, that's why we say focus in for a year, your body and your identity completely change. You do things consistently. Small, manageable changes the right direction. When I say yields huge result, you will not recognize yourself a year from now. The biggest mistake that women make, is jumping around, trying to piecemeal everything. I would say you're trying to put, duct tape over holes in the boat instead of just, burning the boat and starting from the beginning. Not giving your body enough time to respond to the nutrition, to the workout, to the protocol, and the supplements. We always, consistency of, measure, monitor, and adjust. So when it comes to like your profile diagnostic, we do measurements every 4 weeks. At the very least, I know some of you can weigh and measure every week. I don't recommend it, but you can. You do not need to be doing every day. You'll just drive yourself crazy. Every 4 weeks when it comes to measurements. When it comes to your carb tolerance profile, well, really, you only need to do it every 12 weeks. But if you want to do it every 4 weeks, you can, because it depends. Depends on where were you before that? Because you might be a type 3 or 4 or 5 right now. And meaning basically, especially type 4 or 5, we say the word bagel and your thighs swell, but it doesn't mean that you don't have a good base. It means that your body has shifted, okay? And what do I mean by a good base? It means that you might have had a lot of muscle before and you used to tolerate carbs really well, and there's just been a shift with your body to where it's not right now. So that means that in 4 weeks, you can have a better response between eating the right foods through fasting and strength training. You might only need to do it 4 weeks, but that's really dependent on you. Go by how you feel. Listen to your body, how you're feeling, how you're digesting, how you're responding. Are you retaining a bunch of water? Are you getting sluggish? Are you getting really bloated? Are you, feeling like you gained weight, but the next day it didn't, that water weight didn't go away? Those are signs. And again, just ask the questions in the group. Hormone profile diagnostic, when you start after the cleanse, it's not required, but we recommend. But at the most, every 12 weeks, then you evaluate and compare this to where you began to see your progress, how you're feeling, and how you're moving forward. Always, when in doubt, post in the Strong Beauty community, and or if you're a VIP, you go into the WhatsApp. You can always join us on the monthly virtual clinics. Even though we might have a specific topic, we always open it for Q&A. Second Saturday every month, unless we send out a message that it might be postponed because of a holiday, or we have a date change or a time change, but that's usually when they happen. But don't be diverted by different categories or things because somebody else is having success over here. You need to stay the course, put blinders on, stay the course, and follow what the plan is right for you. Because remember, this is the last system that you'll ever need. But if you don't follow the plan, we can't guarantee you results. And up until now, you might have been jumping around from program to program to program, to diet to diet to diet, to supplement, 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 and it just wreaks havoc on your system. We have a method. There's a method to our madness, and that method is the hormone macro code system that works every time when you follow it, when you're patient, and you do it consistently. There you have it, guys. All right, so I will see you guys on the next module. You got this.